Summary of Unburied Sing by Jesmyn Ward. The first part is told from Jojo's point of view on his 13th birthday. Ma'am, Jojo's grandmother, is getting chemotherapy for cancer, which makes her sleep a lot. Jojo and Pop, his grandfather, kill a goat so that the whole family can eat. Big Joseph is Jojo's other grandpa. He is white, and Jojo has only met him a few times. Michael is Jojo's dad. He has a lot of tattoos, some of which he got while he was in jail. Pop tells Jojo to go back inside because he heard his 3-year-old sister Kayla crying after they killed the goat. Kayla isn't crying, Jojo finds out. For some reason, Jojo says he calls his mom by her first name, Leonie, instead of Mama. It was right after Mam was told she had cancer that his grandparents left him and Leonie alone. Leonie left Jojo alone, and Pop's sick in the head brother Stag walked by outside while she was gone. Pop and Leonie got into a fight over whether Jojo was big enough to be left alone after she stepped on a sharp can while hiding with the animals in the barn. In the present, Pop tells Jojo that he and Stag share a father but not a mother. Stag always got into trouble when they were young. A white man once beat Stag. Later, a group of white men tied Pop and Stag up and took them to a work camp called Parchman. Richie, one of the boys at the camp, was only 12 years old. Richie was caught stealing food to feed his 9 brothers. Leonie comes back with a birthday cake for Jojo, which cuts into Pop's story. People in Leonie's family sing happy birthday as the phone rings. Joey knows it's Michael calling to tell her that he's getting out of jail this week. The next part is written from Leonie's point of view. Since she talked to Michael, she got more shifts at the bar where she works, the cold drink. Misty, Leonie's friend at the bar, takes a mix of drugs every night to get high. They talk and do drugs at Misty's that night. Ever since Leonie gets high, she sees her brother Given in her dreams. Leonie and Pop have a fight the next day over whether she should bring Jojo with her to pick up Michael from Parchman. Leonie remembers that soon after she got her period, Mam told her that some women in their family, including Mam, have a psychic ability that lets them feel things without words. Today, Leonie tells Mam that she is going to get Michael with the kids when he gets out. Mam suggests that she bring Misty, whose boyfriend is also in Parchman. Leonie knows all of a sudden that she is seeing Given because her mother is about to die. Given was shot by Michael's cousin while they were both in high school. In the third part, we see things from Jojo's point of view again. Leonie, Misty, Jojo, and Kayla got in the car together and drove off. Jojo can't stop looking at Misty's bra strap as they drive. It makes her want her so much. A little while later, he finds the gris-gris bag folded into his clothes. Inside, there is a feather and a note that says keep this close. He knows Pop sent it. In the past, Pop told Jojo about being forced to work at Parchman for a notoriously mean white boss named Kenny Wagner, who treated Pop like one of his dogs. Leonie stops the car at the house of Carletta, a white woman, and her young son. After going inside, they see that the house is full of food and other things that were bought in bulk. Jojo goes outside to the shed and peeks inside. He sees Fred cooking meth, which is what got Michael sent to jail, and he notes this. Soon after, everyone gets back in the car and keeps going. In the fourth part, we see things from Leonie's point of view again. She says Michael worked on an oil rig in the past. There was an accident on the rig one day, and Michael was very upset when he got home. He first used meth. Now, Leonie and Misty are taking the road trip to move the drugs they got from Fred and Carlotta's house. When Kayla throws up in the car, they have to stop. Leonie goes into the nearby woods to try to remember which plants her mother told her could help her feel better. Leonie wounds her hands when she picks some blackberry plants. The fifth part is written from Jojo's point of view again. Because Leonie ain't never healed nothing or grown nothing in her life, he doesn't want her to give the blackberry leaves to Kayla. Leonie bought Jojo a fish one time, but she forgot to buy it food, so it died quickly. The car stops next to another house. Al, Michael's lawyer, is making spaghetti inside. Leonie cooks the blackberry leaves, adds sugar to them, and then gives Kayla the mix. While the adults stay in the other room, Jojo takes Kayla, who has a fever, to the bathroom and makes her throw up. She does this because she is worried about Kayla. That night, Jojo tries to sleep but remembers the next part of Pop's story about Parchman. In this part, Richie gets whipped for breaking his hoe by mistake, but Kinney gets away. Joey wakes up and sees Leonie, Misty, and Al sitting on the couch. It's clear they haven't slept. After leaving Al's house, they quickly get to Parchman. Michael and Leonie fiercely hug when Michael comes out. The last part of the Parchman story comes back to Jojo. Even though his cuts didn't look like they were infected, Richie was in a lot of pain from them. He was shaking and throwing up. Richie finally told Pop that he was going home. When we go back to the present, Michael meets Kayla, but she's tense when she talks back. She throws up again as they drive away. Jojo sees a young black boy standing by his window in the middle of all the noise. He tells them, "I'm going home." Chapter 6 is written from Richie's point of view. He says he knew right away that Jojo is River's child. Richie says that he was in a pine forest in the beginning and talked to a white snake. As he took off, he thought about the time he died with River, Pop, by his side. River was gone, but Richie kept coming back to haunt Parchman. Richie remembers a huge white man named Hogjaw who was also put in Parchman. He wants to make up a story about how River took care of him, but he doesn't. They are the only ones in the car who can see him. Chapter 7 goes back to Leonie's point of view. The group and she drive back to Al's house. That Kayla is still sick, Leonie tells Al. Al gets her some bread and ginger ale. Leonie feels the need to hit Kayla as she cleans her off in the bathroom after she threw up. Her order is for Jojo to get Kayla dressed and in bed. She then goes to the next room to get high and have sex with Michael. Leonie sees Given in the room with them at this point. They hit the road again in the morning. Leonie sees that Al is high again when he gives them sandwiches to go. Leonie says she got pregnant when she was 17 months old, not long after being with Michael. Ma'am did not like how obsessed and obedient Leonie was with Michael. Ma'am told Leonie that she had known for 2 weeks that she was pregnant. Mom offered to make Leonie a tea that would end the pregnancy if she said she didn't want the baby. But Leonie said she did want to keep it. In the present, Michael tells Leonie that there is a police car close. They are in a hurry and can't hide the meth they got from Al, so Leonie takes it. Leonie is told by the police officer that she was drifting. She is then asked to get out of the car and show her license and insurance. Leonie tells the officer that they are coming from Parchman without giving it much thought. The cop puts handcuffs on her right away, then on Michael. Also, Jojo gets out of the car. When the police officer tries to arrest him and points the gun at his head, Kayla runs in front of Jojo to protect him. As the police officer searches the car, Leonie suddenly feels high from the meth she took, and Kayla throws up. The cop feels bad about it and lets them go. Leonie sees Given once more. Chapter 8 is written from Jojo's point of view. He says Richie told him, "They're going to chain you," when the cops arrived and then hid on the floor. After the police incident, the group stops at a gas station. Michael takes money from Leonie's bag and tells Jojo to buy charcoal and milk for Leonie because she is sick and needs them for her stomach. A Tootsie Pop is also bought by Jojo. Michael gives Leonie the milk and charcoal mix against her will until she throws up fiercely. Richie tells Jojo in the car that he knows he tried to get away from Parchman but failed, but he doesn't know how. He needs Jojo to find out. He says that's the only way he can get home. Richie says Jojo still doesn't know a lot about the world. In Chapter 9, we see things from Richie's point of view. When Richie was 13, he was just as innocent as Jojo is now. It was Parchman who pulled him back after Richie died. Richie tells River that he used to see a prostitute in Parchman who was known as the Sunshine Woman because she always wore yellow. The Sunshine Woman once told River and Richie that a white woman lied and said that a black man had raped her, so the man and his wife were killed. When Jojo got to Parchman to pick up Michael, he woke Richie up with a voice telling him to follow Jojo to River and that he would be able to go home afterward. Chapter 10 is written from Leonie's point of view. She thinks back to the first few months she dated Michael when they were both kids. Then she wakes up in the present and is horrified. She sleeps until they get back to the house, but Mom and Pop aren't there. Michael wants to see his parents, but he and Leonie get into a fight over it. Leonie has Kayla in her arms when the car hits a wild hog. Kayla hits her head and loses awareness for a moment. She then screams for Jojo. Maggie and Big Joseph's house is where they end up. Joseph tells the family that Leonie, Jojo, and Kayla are not welcome. Maggie tries to meet Jojo and Kayla, but Big Joseph gets madder and calls Leonie a nigger bitch, which makes Michael hit him in the head. The fight between Big Joseph and Michael goes on while Leonie and the kids wait in the car. Michael finally gets back in the car, and they drive home, where Pop is sitting outside. Leonie is told by Ma'am that it's time for me to go when Pop tells her to go inside and see her. Mom says she's tried to get better but has to give up now. Last but not least, she wants to be taken by Maman Bridget, who means the mother of the dead. She tells Leonie to get the things they need for the process. We go back to Jojo's point of view in Chapter 11. Pop tells Jojo to put Kayla to bed when they get home. Pop can't hear Richie when he tries to talk to him. Joan wakes up in the morning to the smell of Michael cooking bacon. There was a time when Michael told Jojo about Given while they were fishing together, Michael says. His word to Jojo is that he is now here to stay. Michael hits Kayla when she cries and makes a noise. Richie begs Jojo to talk to Pop for him. At first, Jojo says no, but in the end, he gives in. Ma'am tells Jojo that she has always known Leonie doesn't have the mothering instinct and won't feed Jojo when Jojo goes to see Ma'am. Jojo asks Ma'am about death, and she says that since violent deaths are rare, it's unlikely that she will come back as a ghost. Chapter 12 is written from Richie's point of view. Richie sees water, land, a neighborhood with houses and people, and the sound of a beautiful song while he is watching Jojo and his family. Richie sees Leonie go to Given's grave and ask him to do what Ma'am asked him to do with the mystery. Leonie then goes back to Mom's room, trips, and says, okay. We go back to Jojo's point of view in Chapter 13. He says that Richie crawled around the house and sang the night before. Jojo hears Pop destroying an old pen outside that is full of termites and goes to help him. When Jojo asks Pop about Richie, Pop tells her that Richie got away from Parchman. A guy named Blue who wasn't right in the head raped a woman one Sunday, according to Pop. After that, Richie caught Blue, and the two of them ran out of Parchman right away. A group of white men, including the jail sergeant and director, caught them and skinned Blue alive, cutting off parts of his body. Pop was there with the dogs. He knew the white men were going to go after Richie next, so he told him he would help him get home and then stabbed him in the neck. Pop tells Jojo that what he did will always bother him because Richie yells. Richie is no longer there, and Jojo holds Pop like he holds Kayla. Chapter 14 is written from Leonie's point of view. As Ma'am comes back from getting the stones for the rite in the graveyard, she sees Given in the house. The black bird. The black boy is what Kayla is crying about. When they get to Ma'am's room, which smells like rotten eggs, Ma'am tells Leonie it's too late. Given is also in this room, yelling at Ma'am, who makes a weak plea in response. Jojo comes in. Leonie sets up the altar with the traditional things and says the litany for Maman Bridget. Given, Jojo, and Kayla all know each other. Given then hugs Ma'am and tells her he's taking her home. Ma'am passes away. Everyone cries except Jojo, who is mad at Leonie for calling on the gods and letting Ma'am die. After some time, Leonie tells Michael that Ma'am is dead and asks him to get high with Al. They get into the car together and drive off. We go back to Jojo's point of view in Chapter 15. He says that he sleeps in Leonie's bed these days. Every 2 weeks, she and Michael only stay for a few days. Leonie and Michael are both very skinny now, and they sleep on the couch together. There are times, Jojo says, at night, when he thinks he knows why Leonie has been a bad mother, but he never feels this way during the day. However, Jojo knows that he will never see Mam or Given again. But he still sees Richie and many other ghosts with different violent death stories. She tells them to go home, since she can see ghosts too. When Kayla starts to sing, the ghosts feel better and say, yes. They say home.
About the author. Jesmyn Ward was born in the Gulf of Mississippi town of Delisle. She studied English at Stanford University until she graduated in 1999. Also, she got an MA from Stanford in Media Studies. A drunk driver killed Ward's younger brother in 2000. Ward wrote a book in 2013 called Men We Reaped about her younger brother and 4 other black men from her neighborhood who died too young. At the end of 2005, Ward got his MFA in creative writing from the University of Michigan. Soon after, Ward's family home in Delisle flooded during Hurricane Katrina. This event had a huge effect on her work. Ward is an associate professor of English at Tulane. He has worked at the University of New Orleans, the University of South Alabama, Stanford, and the University of Mississippi. One of her 5 books is a series of essays called The Fire This Time, A New Generation Speaks About Race, which came out in 2016. In 2011, Ward won the National Book Award for Fiction for Salvage the Bones. In 2017, she won it again for Sing, Unburied, Sing. Ward has also been awarded a MacArthur Genius Grant.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.